The galaxy had many stories of monsters, but none like this. No name brought more fear than the apex. A creature born from unknown science, half machine, half living nightmare. It moved from system to system, leaving behind only silence. No warnings. No survivors, only wreckage floating in cold space. They said the apex could not be stopped, and now it was coming toward Earth. Aboard the station Galatas Prime, deep in neutral space, everything seemed calm. Engineers worked, traders came and went. Lights glowed softly in the hallways. But then all at once the lights blinked out. Every screen turned black, doors locked. And then the screaming started. Not from one place, but from everywhere at once. Security footage later showed a tall figure walking through walls like mist, claws dragging along the steel, its face twisted into something like a smile. Bullets did nothing. Plasma burned, but it healed. It didn't roar. It didn't run. It just walked forward, pulling apart anything in its way. Within 13 minutes, the station fell silent. Not a single soul was left alive. News reached Earth quickly. The Council wanted answers. A team was sent to investigate the ruins. A mix of humans and aliens, trained and armed. But one figure stood out among them. A man with short black hair, no armor, and eyes that stayed, still even in chaos. His name was Captain Darius Rook. No one knew much about him except that he had survived 2 colony wars and a mission that left 400 dead. Except for him. The ship dropped out of hyperspace and slowed as the burned remains of Galatas Prime came into view. Pieces floated like frozen bones. Fires still burned in places with no air. The team entered through the cargo bay. What was left of it? No lights. No sound. Just floating metal and the echo of their own breath through helmets. One alien soldier, a Felnari with blue skin and sharp hearing, paused. I hear scratching. But there was nothing. Only silence. They moved deeper, flashlights cutting through darkness. Doors were torn apart, some melted. Blood floated like dust. Darius moved slowly, watching the walls. This wasn't rage, he said. This was a message. They reached the main command center. Screens were broken. One chair still turned slowly in the air. Then they saw it. A body, folded backward. Eyes open, mouth frozen in terror. Claws had torn through steel behind it. The marks were too clean, too precise. Then someone whispered, "Captain, we found a survivor." It was impossible, but true. A young alien technician, barely alive, shaking and hiding behind a broken panel. His voice was rough, dry, almost gone. He spoke only a few words. It smiled when it killed. It knew we couldn't stop it. It watched us run. They brought the survivor to the medbay on the ship. The rest of the team kept searching. In the lower halls, Darius found something strange. A symbol drawn in the blood of a fallen crewman. Not random. A pattern. Darius touched it and looked around. He whispered to himself, "This thing isn't just killing. It's performing." Back on the ship, the Council called in. They wanted to know if Earth should prepare for an attack. Darius didn't answer right away. He stared at the image frozen on the screen, a frame taken just before the last camera failed. The apex, standing, still staring directly into the lens, its eyes glowed, and that twisted human-like smile stretched across its face. Finally, Darius spoke. "It's not heading for Earth." The Council asked why. He leaned forward. "Because it's already here." The call went silent. The rest of the team looked confused, even afraid. But Darius wasn't. His face remained calm. Inside his head, memories returned, of fire, of blood, of another time when something came to kill and failed. Darius stood, grabbed his small pack, and looked toward the black void beyond the ship's window. "If this thing wants a fight," he said, "then it picked the wrong species." And somewhere far away, the apex moved silently through another drifting wreck, scanning, smelling, hunting for something it had never faced before. Fear, not from others, but for itself. It would soon learn. Humans don't die easy. And some don't die at all. The apex didn't kill like a wild beast. It killed like it was dancing. Darius Rook stood over a blood-marked wall, his eyes tracing every scratch and claw mark. The rest of the team moved carefully through the remains of the upper level, their weapons ready. But Darius didn't carry a gun. He carried a small metal case and a worn notebook. He wrote in it as he studied the wreckage, every detail, every symbol, every broken part. Sergeant Juno, a tall Martian-born soldier, shook her head. "Why does it leave marks like that?" she asked. "They look deliberate." Darius didn't look up. "Because they are." The team had split into two. One group searched the medical bay. The other, led by Darius, went toward engineering. The deeper they went, the colder it got. No heat, no power. And yet, they found signs of recent movement. Doors slightly open, panels unscrewed, as if something had come back. Then they found the second body. This one wasn't torn apart. It was untouched. A technician, eyes open, face frozen in fear, but with no visible wounds. Juno leaned closer. "He looks scared to death." Darius nodded. "Fear can kill, if it's deep enough." They checked the body's scanner log. A short burst of data. Heart rate went from calm to extreme panic in seconds, then flatline. Darius read the last words logged by the man. "I saw it. It saw me. It knew my name." That made the team go silent. Darius knelt near a nearby wall and found something. Again, scratches forming a spiral shape. Not just one, dozens. Perfect spirals carved with sharp claws. Juno asked, "Is it some kind of language?" "No," Darius replied. "It's a signature. It wants to be remembered." Elsewhere, the second team found something worse. In the storage deck behind a sealed emergency bulkhead, they heard a sound. Faint tapping, almost too soft to hear. At first, they thought it was damage from the wreckage, but it didn't stop. It came in a pattern: tap, 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 pause, tap. "Could be someone alive," one of the soldiers said. They forced open the panel, and inside, curled up behind a row of crates, was a lone alien. Small, gray-skinned, with blinking yellow eyes. A young technician. He had been hiding for 2 days without food or water. When they tried to speak to him, he shook uncontrollably. His voice cracked when he finally spoke. "Don't move," he whispered. "It listens. It hears thoughts." They thought he was delusional, until he looked straight at one of them and said their full name without being told. "He told me that," the technician said, pointing toward nothing. Before he walked away, the soldier asked, "Who?" The technician's eyes widened. "The smiling one." Back on the command deck, the team reassembled. Darius listened to the survivor's story carefully. He didn't interrupt. When the technician finished, Darius asked one question. "Did it speak?" The technician nodded. "Only once. After it killed the others, it looked at me and said, 'You are not the one I want.' Then it walked away." The room froze. Juno turned to Darius. "What does that mean?" Darius stood silently for a moment, then opened his notebook and flipped to an old page. On it was a sketch, a figure with sharp limbs and glowing eyes. An early design of the apex, drawn long before anyone had confirmed its existence. "It's hunting," he said, "but not just for fun. It's looking for someone." "Who?" Juno asked. "Me." The air in the room seemed to grow heavier. Darius closed the notebook. This wasn't an attack, it was a test. It left survivors on purpose. It wanted us to come here. The ship's comms beeped. A message from Earth. Another station had just gone dark. No warning, no sign of struggle. Only one message was recovered. Before contact was lost, 3 words. "Found the trace." Darius stared at the screen. His voice was quiet but firm. "It's following my trail. It wants to know why I survived." Juno asked, "What do we do?" Darius turned toward the viewing window looking out into the stars. "We don't run. We don't hide. We show it what it means to fear something real. No one spoke. In the silence, the lights flickered. The ship's temperature dropped by 5 degrees. A low sound, like metal breathing, echoed through the halls. Darius whispered, "It's closer than we thought." The Apex was not just a killer. It was learning. And soon it would learn what it meant to face a human who refused to die. Darius Rook stood alone in the dark hallway of the wrecked station. The rest of the team had returned to the ship to prepare for departure, but Darius stayed behind. He had no fear in his steps, no rush in his breath. He moved like someone who had been here before, who had walked among monsters and lived to tell the tale. He opened his small black case and pulled out strange items. No weapons, just a piece of chalk, a cracked mirror, and a stone that glowed faintly blue. He knelt beside a wall where the Apex had left its spiral marks. Quietly, carefully, he drew his own symbol, one that did not belong to any known language. It was not for the Apex. It was a signal for something older. Darius whispered to the dark, "Let's see if you're watching." Behind him, a camera, one of the few still working, blinked on, but no one had turned it on. Back on the ship, Sergeant Juno watched from the control room. "Why isn't he coming back?" she asked, staring at Darius's feed. "What is he doing with chalk and a rock?" No one had answers. Darius never gave explanations. He simply acted. In the lower decks, strange things began to happen. Lights flickered in patterns, first 3 times, then 5, then 1. Doors that had been sealed for days opened by themselves. Something was responding to Darius's movements. The station was reacting. Darius moved to the central reactor room. The place was shattered, melted from the inside, but he wasn't there to study the damage. He walked to the very center where the Apex had made its last kill. A blackened mark on the floor, burnt into steel. Darius sat cross-legged beside it and placed the mirror in front of him. Then he waited. Minutes passed, then an hour. And then, movement. A sound, like claws on glass. The mirror cracked. Darius didn't flinch. In the reflection, a shape moved behind him. Tall, thin, wrong. The Apex had returned, but it didn't attack. It watched him, studied him. "Darius," whispered, "you remember me, don't you?" He reached into his coat and pulled out a small metal chip. He held it up slowly, like offering bait. "Project Barehand. Earth's last answer to creatures like you." The Apex tilted its head, as if confused. Its claws twitched. Darius smiled faintly. "You killed the others, but you never touched me. You couldn't." In one fast motion, the Apex lunged forward, but hit nothing. Darius had rolled aside and thrown the glowing stone into the air. It shattered, and a shockwave pulsed through the room. For the first time, the Apex staggered. Its body glitched, parts of it flickering like broken code. Back on the ship, alarms rang. "The energy pulse, it's coming from the station." Juno stood. Darius did something. The Apex roared, not in pain, but in confusion. Darius stood, his voice calm. "You're not the only thing that's changed." He opened his hand. The cracked mirror glowed with light, recording the Apex's image, its face, its code. Earth's scientists had designed that mirror to scan, not reflect. And now it was pulling data straight from the creature. The Apex realized too late. It turned to flee, but the doors shut around it. Darius had planned this. The spiral marks were more than just drawings. They were triggers for the station's last working systems. "I needed you to come back," Darius said softly. "Now I know how you think." The Apex let out a scream, metallic and echoing. Then it disappeared into the wall, melting through steel like water. It escaped, but not without cost. Darius walked calmly back toward the docking bay. He spoke into his comm, I'm coming back, and I have what we need. On the ship, Juno met him at the airlock. What did you do? I watched it, Darius said. I studied it. And? She asked. I made it feel something new. What's that? Darius looked at her. Doubt. The data pulled from the mirror was already uploading. Lines of strange code, symbols never seen before. Weak spots in the apex's structure. A map of its design. The team gathered around, staring in disbelief. How did you do this without firing a single shot? Darius didn't answer right away. He looked out the window at the stars, where the apex had fled. Then he said, You don't fight monsters with weapons. You fight them with understanding. Everyone thought the apex was the perfect killer, but now it had a problem. It had become predictable. And humans, especially ones like Darius Rook, knew how to break anything that could be understood, even death. The apex had made its move. Now it was Darius's turn. The apex had escaped, but it left a trail. On the main screen of the ship, Iron Faith, glowing red lines moved through space, mapping its path. The data pulled from Darius's mirror showed something unexpected. The apex wasn't heading for Earth. It was circling it, studying, waiting. It's not just running, said Sergeant Juno. It's planning. Darius stood beside her, arms crossed. His eyes stayed locked on the screen. It knows we're learning how to hurt it. Behind them, the crew worked fast. Engineers ran diagnostics, scanned the apex's code, and patched new firewalls into the ship's systems. The alien tech pulled from the wrecked station had shown one thing clearly. The apex could control machines, even whisper to them. If it got too close, systems could shut down without warning. Weapons could fail. Doors could open at the worst time. So Darius made a choice. We're going to trap it, he said. The crew stared at him like he was insane. You want it to come here? Juno asked. On purpose? Yes, Darius replied. It's hunting something new. It wants answers, so we give it what it wants. He pulled out the data core from the mirror, full of everything the apex feared. Maps of its own body, its programming, its weak spots. We broadcast this, Darius said, on every signal, loud and clear. It won't be able to resist. 1. Alien technician blinked. You're using bait? No, Darius said. I'm using truth. This thing believes it's untouchable. Let's show it it's not. The crew got to work. While technicians prepared the signal, the ship's AI was hardened with alien encryption. Darius personally oversaw the traps, special rooms with magnetized walls, EMP mines, and something he called bare-hand nodes. No one fully understood what they did, only that they could shut down part of the apex's body, if timed right. Juno wasn't convinced. What if it sees through the plan? Darius looked her in the eyes. Then we improvise. The ship drifted in orbit above a dead moon. It was quiet, still, waiting. Then the signal went out. It pulsed across frequencies, slow, steady, a heartbeat in the dark. And somewhere far away, something answered. The lights flickered, the walls hummed. He's coming, Darius said. The crew armed themselves. Every hallway was sealed except for one, leading straight to the core room where the trap waited. Motion, sensors were placed every few meters, and the ship's AI began repeating one line over the intercom. We see you now. At 02:19 ship time, the first alert went off. Breach on Deck 5, the AI said. Cameras showed nothing. Then another alert. Deck 3. Then Deck 6. Too fast. It's already inside, whispered one soldier. The crew held position. Juno kept her, weapon aimed at the only open hallway. She breathed slowly, counting in her head. Then, movement. The lights dimmed. A shadow moved down the corridor. No footsteps, no sound. The apex stepped into view. It was taller than the cameras showed, almost too thin for its size. Its limbs looked stretched, like they were not built, but pulled, and its eyes glowed with cold fire. Then it smiled. Juno fired first. Her bullets hit nothing. The apex vanished, then appeared behind them. But this time, the walls responded. Hidden panels opened. Electric pulses shot through the air. The creature jerked, glitched. It growled, not in pain, but surprise. Darius stepped forward. You're not the only one that learns. The apex leapt at him, but the floor turned, magnetic. It crashed down, its claws stuck. Darius walked slowly, holding a bare hand node, a small humming cube. He pressed it to the apex's shoulder. A flash of blue light. The creature screamed, its arm shut down. Metal folded in on itself. Sparks flew. For the first time it looked afraid. You think you're death? Darius said. You haven't seen what humans do when we lose everything. The apex struck out with its other hand, breaking free. It ran, faster than anything they'd seen, but not toward escape. It went down, deeper into the ship, toward the engine core. Juno cursed. It's going to blow the ship. Darius ran after it, shouting, Seal off the lower decks. Force it into the containment zone. The crew worked fast. Doors slammed shut. Lights turned red. The apex raced through the narrowing halls, tearing through steel. But Darius was faster. He took a shortcut, an old maintenance shaft, and dropped into the core chamber before the apex arrived. He stood alone, waiting. No armor. No gun. Only the last bare hand node in his hand. The apex entered, breathing heavy. Sparks jumped across its broken arm. Its smile was gone now. Darius raised the node. You followed the bait. The apex lunged, and Darius threw the node at its chest, a bright flash. The room exploded in light. Then, silence. The emergency lights flickered on. Darius stood coughing, smoke all around him. The apex lay on the floor, twitching, disabled, but not dead. Not yet. Darius stepped closer and said quietly, Next time, I won't miss. And somewhere inside the apex's broken body, something moved. Something woke up. The trap worked. But the real fight hadn't even started yet. The apex didn't move for hours. Its broken body lay still in the sealed core chamber of the Iron Faith. Sparks jumped across its limbs. One arm was completely shut down, the other twitching now and then like it wanted to wake up but couldn't. Darius stood behind the glass, watching. It's still alive, Juno said quietly beside him. He nodded. Barely. We should destroy it. Right now. But Darius shook his head. Not yet. She stared at him. Why? He looked at the thing on the floor and said, Because something else is moving inside it. On the monitors, the apex's data was glitching. Its systems weren't healing. They were changing. Symbols in its code began rewriting themselves. A new layer of code appeared beneath the surface. Older, darker, almost human-looking. That's impossible, Juno whispered. Darius leaned forward. No, it's not. It's remembering something. The crew didn't sleep that night. Scans showed that the apex's body was trying to reconnect. Not to its own systems, but to something else. A network. Something deep in space. The scientists on board were terrified. It's not just one apex, said Dr. Varn. It's a signal node, a messenger. Darius nodded slowly. And now the message has changed. What message? Juno asked. That humans are a problem, he said. A new kind of enemy. They thought disabling the apex was the victory, but all they'd done was make it evolve. At Oro 312, the apex opened its eyes, red and glowing, brighter than before. It didn't speak. It just looked at the camera and smiled. The alarms triggered instantly. The core chamber began to shake. The walls turned hot. Power surged across the ship. The hell is happening? Juno yelled. Darius's voice was calm. It's not trying to escape, it's calling. Calling what? He turned to her. More of itself. Darius ran toward the AI control room. He knew this part wasn't, for the apex wasn't just learning, it was sending what it learned to others like it. And if they came, Earth wouldn't stand a chance. Inside the chamber, the apex slowly sat up. Its broken body moved awkwardly, but the changes were clear. New armor-like skin was growing across its chest. Its face had more angles now, like it was copying human features, like it was becoming something in between. "I don't like this," Juno said. "It looks like it's adapting to you." Darius didn't blink. That was always the risk. Suddenly, the apex stopped moving, and a deep sound filled the ship. A vibration, low and steady. The crew stared at each other. It wasn't coming from the apex. It was coming from space. One of the radar operators gasped. "Multiple signals just appeared, 10, no, 30, all moving fast. They weren't there a second ago." Darius's face hardened. It sent the call, and they answered. The ship's AI confirmed it. "Unknown objects approaching, estimated contact, 12 minutes. Juno turned to Darius. "What do we do?" He looked back at the screen, at the apex, still locked in the core chamber, still smiling. "We finish what we started." He opened a secured locker and pulled out a device wrapped in black cloth. A human weapon. Heavy. Not a gun. Not a bomb. Something different. "What is that?" Juno asked. Darius replied, "Bare hand protocol. The full version." No one knew exactly what bare hand protocol was. It had been classified by Earth Command for years. Rumors said it wasn't a weapon. It was a transformation. A last resort tool built, for one thing, fighting apex creatures in their own language, code, motion, and raw force. "I'm going in," Darius said. "You'll die," Juno warned. He looked at her, and something in his eyes made her step back. "No," he said. "I'll teach it fear." He entered the chamber. The apex stood up. Its body glowed with strange light. Its wounds had turned into armor. Its claws were longer. Its eyes didn't just see light, they read it. Darius could feel its gaze crawling over him like electricity. He opened the device. Wires wrapped around his arm. A soft hum filled the room. Then, his skin began to glow. The apex tilted its head. Darius smiled. Round 2. The fight exploded, not with bullets or lasers, but with movement. Darius struck with open hands, faster than any human should move. Each hit created a pulse of energy that pushed the apex back. The creature countered, claws slashing, but they didn't cut. The energy around Darius's body twisted them away. It roared. He roared back. On the outside, the crew watched in shock. "He's matching it." "How is that possible?" Juno whispered. "He's not just fighting it. He's syncing with it." The chamber lights exploded. Sparks rained down. The apex struck one final time, and Darius caught its claw mid-air. He looked the creature in the eyes and broke its arm clean off. The apex stumbled, glitching hard now, its body shaking. Darius stepped closer. "You called for help, but now they'll see this too. You can be hurt. You can be broken." He raised the severed arm like a trophy. "Go ahead," he said. "Show them what waits for them on Earth." The apex collapsed, not dead, but beaten, for now. Outside, the ship, the radar showed the swarm of apex signals slowing down, hesitating, watching. The message was clear. The apex had met something new, something worse. A human, who fought death with his bare hands. The apex swarm didn't attack, not right away. 30 ships hovered at the edge of sensor range, dark, silent, watching. They looked like blades, long and curved, with glowing veins running down their sides. Not one moved forward, not one sent a signal. Darius stood in the war room, bruised and burned, but standing tall. The apex that had been trapped in the core was now locked inside a heavy magnetic cell, deep in the belly of the Iron Faith. It hadn't spoken. It just watched. "What are they waiting for?" Juno asked, staring at the enemy fleet on the screen. Darius answered, "They're processing what just happened." He pointed to the footage looping on the monitor, him, beating the apex with bare hand protocol, breaking its arm, standing tall while it fell. That wasn't supposed to happen, he said. To them, we were animals. Weak. Predictable. But not anymore, Juno whispered. No, Darius replied. Now they're afraid. For a few hours, the galaxy held its breath. Earth Command sent word. Reinforcements were coming. But they were too far out. At least 12 hours away. That was more than enough time for the Apex fleet to strike. We hold the line, Darius told his crew. We make them second-guess every move. The ship was locked down. Defense grids were armed. Trap corridors reloaded. Every hallway rigged with fail-safes. Then a signal came. Not words, not sound, a pulse. One long, slow beat. The Apex fleet had spoken. What is it? Juno asked. The tech team ran analysis, then froze. It's a challenge, one whispered. A test. To who? Juno asked. The screen flickered, and the answer came in twisted, sharp letters. The one who touched death. They meant Darius. They want a duel, he said. One-on-one. The room fell silent. Juno stepped forward. Don't you dare. That's suicide. But Darius didn't blink. They want to know what I am. Let's show them. The crew protested. The doctor tried to stop him. But he had already decided. The Apex didn't understand peace. It only understood fear, strength, and survival. So Darius suited up. He didn't take a gun. He took only the full bare-hand protocol, now fused into his skin. His veins glowed dim blue. His arms crackled softly, like the air around him didn't want to touch his body. Outside, one ship from the Apex fleet detached. It was massive, twice the size of the Iron Faith. Its surface was covered in moving lines, almost like it was alive. A hangar opened, and inside it waited a new Apex. This one was different. It wore armor like obsidian glass. Its head looked more human now, mocking, cruel. It stood taller than the last, and it held two long blades that pulsed with red energy. As Darius entered the chamber, the doors sealed behind him. He faced the Apex warrior across a flat metal arena. No cover. No tricks, just them. The creature tilted its head, studying him. Then it spoke. Its voice was broken and cold, like static through metal. You should not exist. Darius smiled. Too late. The Apex moved first, fast like lightning. Blades swung in a blur. Darius dodged. Sparks flew. The first strike missed his neck by inches. He responded with a punch that knocked the Apex back several feet. But the creature didn't fall. It laughed and charged again. Outside the ship, the Apex fleet moved slightly, hovering closer. Watching, recording. Inside, the duel became chaos. Metal screamed. The floor cracked. Both figures moved like shadows in a storm. Darius's bare-hand hits glowed with energy. He landed 3 quick strikes to the Apex's chest, but the creature twisted and slashed across his back. Blood hit the floor, but Darius didn't fall. He roared and smashed both fists into the ground. The shockwave threw the Apex backward. The crowd of watching Apex ships shimmered in response, flashing red lights in rhythm with the fight. They're reacting, one technician whispered. They're feeling it. Back in the arena, the Apex tried to finish it. Leaping into the air, blades raised. Darius closed his eyes, then moved. One spin, one strike. The Apex's arm flew off, blade and all. The creature screamed. Darius grabbed its throat, lifting it high. You wanted to meet death, he said. Here I am. With a roar, he slammed the Apex down so hard, the floor dented beneath them. The creature lay still, alive, but broken. Darius stood over it. The watching Apex fleet froze. Then, one by one, the enemy ships began to back away, slowly, silently. They're retreating, a voice on the comm said. Darius looked up at the cameras. Let them go. Let them carry the story. He turned and limped back to the shuttle. blood trailing behind. Him. Pain in every step, but power in every breath. The message had been delivered. The apex had seen something new. Not just resistance, not just survival. They had seen what humanity does when pushed to the edge. We don't run. We stand. And when death itself comes for us, sometimes we tear it apart with our bare hands. The apex ships vanished into the dark. One by one, they blinked out of the sky like dying stars, slipping into faster-than-light tunnels. They didn't fire a single shot. They didn't speak another word. They simply left. No one on the Iron Faith said anything for a long time. The war room was silent, the crew frozen as if they couldn't believe what just happened. Darius had won. Not just the fight. He had broken the image of the apex, the idea that they were perfect, unbeatable, untouchable. Now, they bled, now they feared. The crew helped Darius back to the medbay. His body was a mess, bones cracked, muscles torn. Barehand protocol had pushed him beyond human limits, and it showed. But he was still alive. Barely. Juno sat next to him as the ship's AI patched him up. "You scared the hell out of all of us," she whispered. He gave a weak smile. "Scared. Myself too." She squeezed his hand. "You changed everything out there, you showed them." He didn't answer. His eyes stared up at the ceiling. "It's not over." Juno frowned. "What do you mean?" "They'll be back," Darius said. "Not tomorrow, maybe not next month, but they'll come. And next time they won't send a scout. They'll send a fleet ready to burn every star we've ever named." Juno stayed quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Let them come." News of what happened spread fast. Within hours, the signal had reached Earth, then the outer colonies, then even neutral alien systems. The footage was everywhere. A human fighting death with his bare hands. No armor, no warship. Just raw will. The galaxy had a new name for Darius, the man who crushed the apex. At first, it was just a nickname. A meme. A story. Then it became more. On frontier planets, soldiers began training with open-hand combat styles, based on slowed-down footage of Darius's fight. They called it the barehand way. Scientists rushed to study what barehand protocol truly was. Some said it was nanotech. Others believed it was part of an ancient weapon project Earth had hidden. But no one could copy it exactly, because no one else could survive it. Only Darius. He became a living legend, but legends are heavy to carry. He couldn't walk without pain. Couldn't sleep without seeing that apex smile again. He had won the battle, yes, but something in him had changed forever. He wasn't just a soldier anymore. He was a symbol, and symbols don't get rest. Months passed. Earth Command begged him to return home. They offered awards, medals, even a statue. He said no. Instead, he stayed out there on the edge of known space, watching, waiting, training others. He knew the apex would test them again, so he prepared. Juno stayed by his side. The crew of the Iron Faith became known as the Apex Breakers. Their ship was upgraded, armed with new tech copied from the apex itself, thanks to what Darius brought back. Everywhere they went, people whispered his name, not out of fear, out of hope. One day a transmission came, from deep space, far beyond the rim. A voice, cold and sharp. "You are not finished." It wasn't a threat. It was a promise. Darius listened to the message, then looked out at the stars. His body still ached. His scars still burned, but his hands were steady. He turned to Juno. "We're going hunting." She grinned. About time. The Iron Faith jumped into hyperspace following the trail. This wasn't just defense anymore, this was war. But not the kind the apex expected. Not armies, not fleets, just one man, one legend, one bare-handed nightmare, in human skin. And the apex would learn, again, that no matter how powerful they became, no matter how sharp their blades or strong their armor, there was one thing more dangerous than death. A human with nothing left to lose, and fists that never stayed down.